Here's a number that might sting a little. Most people who earn a completely normal, respectable income still end up with almost nothing left over by the time payday rolls around again. Not because they're bad with money, not because they're lazy, but because nobody ever taught them how to actually structure their income. If you've ever looked at your bank account 3 days before payday and wondered where it all went, this video is going to change that. By the end of the next few minutes, you'll know exactly which budgeting method fits your life, your income, and your goals. Welcome to Finora Studio, where we simplify personal finance, smart money habits, and wealth-building strategies to help you make better financial decisions. Let's get started. Let's talk about why this happens in the first place. Millions of people earning $40,000, $60,000, even $90,000 a year still live paycheck to paycheck. And the reason isn't usually a lack of income, it's a lack of direction. Money without a plan tends to disappear quietly. A little goes to a subscription you forgot about. A little goes to a food delivery order because you were too tired to cook. A little goes to I'll figure out savings next month, and next month never comes because there's always something. There's also a psychological piece to this. When money isn't assigned a job, your brain treats it as available, even if it's actually needed for rent or your car payment next week. This is why two people with the exact same salary can have completely different financial outcomes. One has a system, the other is guessing. Budgeting isn't about restriction, it's about giving every dollar a purpose before it has the chance to disappear on autopilot. And that's exactly what these 4 methods are designed to do. Let's start with the most well-known one, the 50-30-20 budget rule. This method breaks your after-tax income into 3 simple categories. 50% goes toward needs, things like rent or mortgage, groceries, utilities, insurance, and minimum debt payments. 30% goes toward wants, dining out, streaming services, hobbies, travel, anything that makes life enjoyable but isn't essential. And the remaining 20% goes toward savings and debt payoff beyond the minimum, your emergency fund, retirement contributions, or extra payments toward credit cards. The reason this method works so well is simple. It's easy to remember and easy to apply, even if you've never budgeted a day in your life. You don't need complicated spreadsheets. You just need 3 buckets and a clear sense of where your money is going. This method is best for people with a steady paycheck and a fairly predictable set of expenses, someone in a stable job without wildly fluctuating income, who wants a straightforward system without a ton of maintenance. Here's a real-life example. Picture someone in the United States earning $4,000 a month after taxes. Under the 50-30-20 rule, $2,000 would go toward needs like rent, groceries, electricity, and car insurance. $1,200 would go toward wants, maybe eating out twice a week, a gym membership, and a streaming bundle. And $800 would go into savings, split between an emergency fund and retirement contributions. Suddenly, saving isn't an afterthought. It's built into the plan from day one. Now, the most common mistake people make with this method is miscategorizing expenses. They convince themselves their $40 a month subscription bundle is a need, or they lump a car payment on a vehicle they can't really afford into the needs category, when in reality, it's stretching their budget past what 50% should cover. The practical solution here is brutal honesty. Sit down once and categorize every single expense with the mindset of, would this stop my life from functioning if I cut it? If the answer is no, it belongs in wants, not needs. That one shift alone fixes most of the confusion people run into with this method. But what if your expenses aren't that predictable, or you want more precision than 3 broad categories can offer? That's where our next method comes in, and it's a favorite among people who like full control over every dollar. This is zero-based budgeting. The idea behind zero-based budgeting is that every single dollar you earn gets assigned a specific job until your income minus your expenses equals 0. Not because you're spending everything, but because even your savings and investments are treated as a category, not leftover money. Income minus outgo, including savings, should equal 0. This method works because it forces intentionality. There's no vague whatever's left thinking. Every dollar has a destination before the month even begins, which makes overspending far less likely because you can see exactly how much room you have left in each category before you spend it. Zero-based budgeting is best for people who want maximum control, detail-oriented planners, freelancers, or anyone managing multiple financial goals at once, like paying off debt while also saving for a house. Here's how this might look in real life. Say someone earns $3,500 a month. They'd list out every category. Rent at $1,200, groceries at $400, utilities at $150, car payment at $300, insurance at $100, minimum debt payments at $200, extra debt payoff at $300, emergency fund contribution at $200, retirement at $250, entertainment at $150, and miscellaneous at $250. Add it all up, and it equals exactly 3,500. Every dollar has a job. Nothing is unaccounted for. The most common mistake with this method is underestimating irregular expenses, things like car repairs, annual subscriptions, or holiday spending that don't happen every month but absolutely will happen eventually. When people forget to plan for these, their perfect zero-based budget falls apart the moment an unexpected bill shows up. The practical solution is to create a category specifically for irregular or annual expenses and contribute a small amount to it every single month, even if nothing is due right now. That way, when your car needs new brakes or your annual insurance premium comes due, the money is already sitting there waiting, instead of throwing off your entire plan. Now, here's the thing about both of these methods. They require you to actively track and categorize your spending. But what if you struggle with follow-through? What if the moment money hits your account, it feels like it's already spent in your mind? That's exactly the problem our next method was built to solve. This is the pay yourself first method. The concept is refreshingly simple. The moment your paycheck arrives, before you pay a single bill or buy a single thing, you immediately move a set amount into savings or investments. Whatever's left after that is what you're allowed to spend on everything else. This method works because it removes willpower from the equation entirely. Most budgeting fails not because people don't want to save, but because saving is treated as the last step after everything else has already been spent. By flipping the order, saving first, spending second, you guarantee progress toward your goals no matter what happens with the rest of your spending that month. This method is especially powerful for people who struggle with discipline or consistency, people who've tried tracking every expense and burned out, or anyone who simply wants a set it and forget it approach to building wealth. Here's a real-world example. Someone earning $3,000 a month sets up an automatic transfer of $300, 10% of their income, into a savings account the very same day their paycheck lands. They never see that money sitting in their checking account tempting them. The remaining $2,700 is what they budget their life around. Over a year, that's $3,600 saved without a single moment of should I save this or spend it internal debate. The most common mistake with this method is setting the savings amount unrealistically high in a burst of motivation, only to overdraw the checking account a week later because bills weren't accounted for. Motivation fades, but automatic transfers keep happening whether you can afford them or not. The practical solution is to start with a percentage you know you can sustain, even 5%, and increase it gradually every few months as you adjust. Consistency beats intensity every single time when it comes to building a long-term saving habit. Now, all three of these methods work beautifully if you're comfortable managing money digitally. But there's one more method, an older approach that's making a massive comeback, especially among people who find digital spending a little too easy to lose track of. This is the envelope budgeting method. Traditionally, this meant withdrawing cash and physically dividing it into labeled envelopes for categories like groceries, gas, and entertainment. Once an envelope was empty, spending in that category stopped completely until next month. Today, many people use digital versions of this same concept through banking apps that let you create separate sub-accounts for each spending category. This method works because it creates a hard stop. There's no swiping a card and hoping it goes through. When the envelope is empty, physically or digitally, the spending in that category is over. It transforms budgeting from an abstract idea into something tangible and immediate. This method is best for people who tend to overspend with cards, visual and tactile learners, or anyone who has tried digital budgeting apps and still finds themselves overspending because it doesn't feel real enough. Here's an example. Someone allocates $400 in cash for groceries and dining out for the month, split across two envelopes, $250 for groceries, $150 for dining out. Halfway through the month, they notice the dining envelope is almost empty. Instead of reaching for a credit card, they simply cook at home for the rest of the month because that's the only option left. The system enforces the discipline automatically. The most common mistake here is only using envelopes for fun spending while ignoring fixed bills, which leaves half the budget still unstructured. The practical solution is to combine this method with a broader plan. Use envelopes specifically for the categories where overspending tends to happen, like groceries, dining, and entertainment, while handling fixed bills like rent and utilities through automatic payments. So which method is actually right for you? Here's the honest breakdown. If you want something simple that you can start today with minimal effort, the 50-30-20 rule is your starting point. If you're detail-oriented and want maximum control over every dollar, especially while juggling multiple financial goals, zero-based budgeting will serve you best. If discipline and consistency have always been your struggle, Pay Yourself First removes that problem entirely by automating your progress. And if you're a visual spender who overspends the moment money feels intangible, the envelope method gives you the hard boundaries you need. Higher earners with predictable income often thrive with 50-30-20 or zero-based budgeting. Lower and middle incomes juggling tighter margins often see the fastest results with pay yourself first combined with envelopes for variable spending. There's no single best method. There's only the method that matches how your brain actually handles money. Now let's make this actionable. Here's your weekly plan. Every Sunday, spend 15 minutes reviewing what you spent the previous week against your categories. Adjust anything that's running high before it snowballs into a bigger problem. And here's your monthly plan. At the start of each month, before spending anything, decide your savings amount and automate it immediately. Then assign every remaining dollar a category using whichever method fits your personality best. At the end of the month, review what worked and what didn't, and adjust slightly for next month. Small, consistent adjustments beat dramatic overhauls every single time. Here's the truth most people never hear. You don't need a bigger income to start saving money. You need a system that matches how you think and the discipline to follow it for more than just one motivated week. Thousands of people have used these exact methods to go from living paycheck to building real, lasting savings, not because they suddenly earned more, but because they finally gave their money direction. The method you choose today could be the exact thing that changes your financial trajectory a year from now. The only wrong choice is doing nothing at all. Thanks for watching Finora Studio.